You strong.
We're back. We're back. Year 4, 5,
8, 10,
8,
I don't know.
10. Don't remember. Welcome back to Roster the People, everybody. We did it. We did it. Can you believe that we're back for yet another fantasy football season? I am, as always, Neil Smith, joined as always by Jason Draven at that FF Nerd. We are here. We're doing our thing, answering your questions. We're on Wednesdays now. We're doing something new for Thursdays. Y'all loved us doing picks so much on Thursdays that we decided, you know what? We're just going to do picks on Thursdays. And then everybody can just go watch Thursday Night Football presented by Amazon. Like, that's just what we're going to do.
Peacock.
Or Peacock or whatever it is that we're calling it. I don't know. I don't care. Whatever your streaming service of your weapon of choice is. So if you have questions about picks for Thursday or whatever, we will obviously still take whatever any and all questions you have. But yeah, we're gonna be here doing our usual nonsense, helping people set lineups, answering questions, general roster questions, whatever you got. You want to talk about the Showtime Grill? We spent way too much time last year talking about the Showtime Grill. We can do that again. That's fine. I got no problem doing that. So welcome in. This is now on Wednesdays so that we can lay out and do our own nonsensical garbage, and we can really kind of like free it up so that people can enjoy the Thursday stuff and then go watch football. And then it's the same drill on Sundays. You know what I mean? That worked really well too. People like that. Come in, get your questions answered, and then just go enjoy watching football. You could come listen to us talk shop and go round the horn on whatever. When, you know, on a day that isn't a football day. So, Jason, how was traveling? Welcome back. Welcome back to the free world.
It wasn't bad. Somehow managed to have a delayed flight, and that's just kind of how that goes. And so
that is how that goes.
You missed me on Monday. Wasn't there. Couldn't do it. I was still flying. And so that was a little frustrating, but Steve and Mike did a great job. Got you what you needed. And now we're back to hopefully your regularly scheduled programming.
Well, everybody's back from vacation, so that does happen around here. Is that everybody goes and gets? I'm not immune to that. I did the same thing last week. That's why you'll notice this show starts in week 2, technically, because that's just how this place works. We all go back on vacation, one last gasp of vacation, because none of us get any time off until the new year at this point. So that's just the way it be, and we're not complaining. It's just a fact of life. So that's just the way that it goes. What up, Straight Cash, homie? Oh, there it is. Get the whole gang back together here. People are going to be so confused by the fact that this is on Wednesday. I swear it's going to take like 2 or 3 weeks for people to kind of realize, like, oh, they are doing that show. It's just on Wednesdays now. But yeah, tune in tomorrow. Jason will be on answering all your questions, getting you set. And then on Sundays, I'm the one who runs the chat in the background. So blame me. That's how that usually goes. So that's fine. But yeah, we're going to start here with Daniel. Daniel's here. He has questions. Daniel. No problem, Daniel. It's what we're here to do. It's literally what we're here for. So we want to talk about the Dolphins backfield. All right. So Jason, I'll go to you first. So just to set the table, Raheem Mostert not playing on Thursday. That's already been decided. Achane, we'll see. We're going to find out literally game time. We know. You'll all adapt. Okay? It's fine. This is I promise.
How it used to be.
This is a change for the better. This is definitely better. But we're not changing it again. So if it's any consolation, we're not changing it again. This is what it's going to be all year. So once everybody realizes that, it'll be fine. Yeah. So we already covered it in brief. Mostert's not playing, dealing with an injury, already been ruled out. And then Achane, true game time decision. So, Jason, what do you think about that situation as we get ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous just because, again, it's Achane. He seems to have all these little issues that can seem to pop up. And him not practicing today or don't think it was ever practice. He might have had a limited, but I'm pretty sure he just didn't practice.
I don't think you practiced today. I'll
Uh,
confirm that while you talk.
yeah,
but
did not practice Tuesday. So I'm guessing he probably did no, he did a walkthrough today. He did a light practice with a walkthrough today.
he did the bare minimum to not get ruled out, is what he
Correct.
did. Yeah.
So with that still being up in the air, I think of the backs you probably want, it's going to be Wright. I think dropping Corum for Wright was probably a good move. If you roster either Achane or Mostert, it's probably a must handcuff at this point. I'm very curious because I still think that if Achane is out, you'll have Jeff Wilson potentially being a pain in the backfield as well, and them splitting the job like you kind of saw Mostert and Achane already do. And so of them, I'm going to take Wright just because I think he offers some more upside really fast. They like to do that in Miami. And so we'll see how it ends up actually looking and what the town actually looks like. So
all I'll say is he was a healthy scratch in week 1. That was a coach's decision because they had all their running backs healthy. Well, that didn't last long. So now we're going to see, because there was a lot of initial panic about, oh my God, you guys told me to draft this guy, and then he's a healthy scratch? What are you doing to me? This is why. It's because it wasn't going to take long for something like this to occur. And it didn't. So I will say this. I don't think you're going to be able to sit Achane if he's going. I think what you're hoping for here is that they just rule him out. Because if he is going to play, unless they come out and flatly say he's on a snap count, he's going to get 18 total plays. Okay, then I could make the case where it's like, well, I just can't risk it. I hope I have something else. But if he does come out tomorrow pregame and they say, welcome to your life, Jason, because this will be the question you're going to be asked to answer again and again and again and again and again. So where we are right now is I don't think you could make the argument that sitting Achane would be possible. Given where you drafted him, given how much capital you have invested, and given your other options, I don't see how you're going to be able to sit him. Because of right now, if we just go to the ECR for week 2, Achane is still slotted in as the RB11. If you go by flex rankings, he's 23 overall. I don't see any universe where you're going to be able to sit him if he's actually going to get cleared and they actually don't come out and tell you he's going to be on some sort of pitch count. But that's the world you're going to live in, is that they might not tell you, and he might go out there and he might only play 5-10 snaps and then, oh no, my ankle, my knee, and then he goes and sits down. So this is going to be your world here, is that I agree with your point, Jason, that if you're banking on Mostert or you're banking on Achane for the year, I go back to our preseason conversation where it's like, no, you kind of have to have Wright. You kind of need him because of situations like this. Because I got to tell you, even with the Jeff Wilson layered into that, this is just going to be this backfield. This is your year. Welcome to it. So that's where we are. So I'd say Daniel, as a direct answer to your question before we move on, I have no problem with dropping Corum for Wright, but you're asking the wrong guy. Because I was recommending Wright in rookie drafts for Dynasty. I was recommending him in redraft in 32 teams in 32 days. And I've been recommending Wright all along, whereas I'm not really a big Corum guy. See, I've been saying from jump that Corum might have a role someday, but that they love Kyron Williams, and the rumors of his death have been greatly exaggerated. So you're not really asking the right guy if you're looking for a differing opinion to that. So what do you think, Jason? Is this a good move?
Yeah, I mean, Corum didn't get used at all, and at this point, Wright has the potential to already play in week 2. So again, if they weren't using week 1, I don't really see a point in rostering him at this point. In redraft, like unless you just, for example, got, well, I guess it's not a rookie though, Mason for CMC, which you're definitely, if you didn't, you definitely need to make sure you're doing that. Like we said in way back when. And now with all that issue, it's a whole different monster. So if you have a handcuff, you kind of want to make sure you have them. But when it comes to the rookies, you're probably just going, I mean, you're dropping Corum, and if Williams get hurt, then you're going to try and pick him up again. But until then, it kind of is just up in the air. If Mostert comes back, then you can drop right and pick up Corum again. I don't care.
In
It-
fairness,
it's
they
a
are ranked
cycle.
the same in the week 2 ECR. They're literally within like 2 spots of each other. So you're just talking about personal preference.
Yeah.
So at this point, what I'd say is Wright has a much more clear path to playing time, such as it is. And yes, you could likely drop Corum and then just re-roster him later. I don't think anybody's going to run out to the waiver wire, Daniel, at this point after coming off a 0 to go snatch up Corum unless you are truly screwed at running back, and that's what you're doing. Because even if that was the case, then I would probably rather just roster the Ray Davises of the world. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where you are. The Bucky Irvings, that type of deal. Like
Justice Hill.
so. Uh, do. All right, so we covered that, and here we go. This is a good point. Straight Cash Homie brings up a good point about week 2. So we're gonna do my annual week 1 PSA briefly. I get this every year, Jason. I know you do too. I'll paraphrase. Oh my God, panic, panic. And this is what we always deal with. People always overreact to week 1. Week 1 is always weird, and this year is no exception. So some fun stats. This was the lowest passing yardage week 1 since 1970. And people are like, how is that possible in the pass happy NFL? And I'm like, I'll tell you, it's possible. It's because nobody plays in the preseason anymore. What I watched was preseason football was happening in week 1. So many teams. You could really tell who ran their starters out in the preseason and who didn't. Because like there were a lot of teams that were, and then you also got to see who's just going to be irredeemably terrible. So like irredeemably terrible, the Giants. That's just going to be a thing.
The Panthers.
The Panthers, irredeemably terrible. They played their guys and still looked like that. Whereas like the Steelers, it's a little more of a gray area. They played their guys, so they had a little bit more mojo. You know what I mean? Whereas in the same game, Atlanta, they didn't play anybody, and it showed.
Yeah,
it showed. The timing was not there, and so it gets into the question: do I think the Falcons are going to be that bad all year? No, I don't. Do I think the Giants are going to be that bad all year? Oh, you betcha. Oh, you betcha.
You're really banking on garbage time, baby.
Yeah. So that's the PSA of do not overreact to week 1. Week 1 is weird. And then we have to get into his actual question.
Yeah, which is also something that I noticed and was super annoying. But
a lot of people noticed this. This was one of the biggest questions we got in the Discord. This is something I was dealing with on Twitter. People were asking this question because this is one where people were legitimately panicking, and I get why. Your second round pick was being, and we talked about this in 32 teams in 32 days. Jacksonville wants Bigsby to be a thing. They want it. I don't know why. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but they clearly are telling you with their actions, we want Tank Bigsby to be involved and to do stuff. So the question becomes, his question is very succinctly put. Do you have concerns about Etienne long-term based on the, albeit limited sample of one game?
Yeah, just because of like when, I mean, they matched the same, they had the same amount of carries, but Bigsby actually looked like he had better shot, like he had better runs. And so he looked more explosive. I mean, again, it's really hard to tell because it is just 1 week. The good news is that he didn't get any passes. That's like the one positive is Etienne will have a passing down role.
And the other thing is game script. Because Jacksonville was winning that game up until they weren't. And they're not going to play the Dolphins every week. So there is going to be some of that. Now, here's what's concerning is they draw Cleveland this week. And I'm expecting, based on what we saw, for Jacksonville to be winning that game pretty comfortably, unless something dramatic happens. And that's where I have concerns, is that when they're winning and they're trying to run the ball, it probably will be more tank than what the fantasy community thought. And that's the conversation you, me, and Mason had in 32 teams in 32 days about they really want Tank to get involved. But I don't think it's time to panic.
Yeah, it's
See, I
definitely
think
gonna be annoying.
Here's my issue is that straight cash, I think it's going to be really annoying, but panicking does you no good. Sitting him does you no good, depending on what your other options are. And I find it hard to believe you would have ready replacement stuff. The issue is going to be trading him right now. If you were thinking about that, it's the definition of selling low, especially if you wait till the end of the next game against Cleveland. It's definitely a sell low. So if you're gonna be upset about this, then what I'd say is this: we wait a couple weeks until they get into some more positive game script, because here's the schedule after week 2. In week 3 they play Houston. Oh, I love that idea. The idea of Etienne going out there and catching a million dump offs because they're going to have to throw to move the ball.
Bills, not Houston.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a game. Bills,
Yeah.
same logic. Doesn't matter.
Same thing. Same things there, yeah.
And then they play Indy. Indy's going to move the ball.
Yeah.
But Indy's going to move the ball. And that's a division game. So, and then we get into Chicago, New England. By then, we'll have a pretty good idea of how this works. You'll have a statistically significant sample. So I'm a big believer. I say this every year. I don't do trades until after week 4. Because you don't know anything until after week 4. So you might be selling at the absolute low point of his value, and then you're going to be kicking yourself come week 7, where it's like, well, just wasted that capital off my roster. You know what I mean? Because what would you get right now? You might get something nice because you're still talking about an RB2, but I am not freaking out about this yet, because it is annoying that the usage is the way that it is, but he still got you at 12 in a game where they were winning. And I'm not anticipating them going to be winning some of these other games. I think this coming weekend is going to be rough, but I think you ride that out. You get 2 positive script games for him the next 2 weeks, and then we all reassess on where we are. Sound fair? That's my opinion. What do you think, Jason? Are you in alignment with that? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, again, what you need to do is make sure you have Tank, one. If you have Etienne at this point, it pretty much seems like it's a perfect handcuff.
I would be more inclined to trade something for Tank than I would be to trade away Etienne, to
Correct.
your point.
For sure. And that makes, but in any case, you want to make sure that you have Tank if you have Etienne.
Which we brought up in the 32 teams, 32. He was one of the must handcuffs.
Yeah.
Because we saw this coming. And if something does happen to Etienne, it's going to be the Tank show, for better or for worse. That's what they're going to try. If it fails, they'll do something else, but they're going to try that.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was just week 1. Granted, this week doesn't look much better. I will be very curious to see what week 3 and 4 looks like. But I think you're really okay at this point. Like I said, he really seemed to dominate the snaps that mattered. Got the only score, caught the balls. I think you'll be okay.
The sauce for running backs is red zone opportunities plus targets. He did that. That's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at evaluate. If you're ever curious, how does Neil evaluate running backs? That's the biggest thing. Red zone opportunities plus targets in PPR, which I'm assuming that this is, because,
So on that point,
okay. Well,
no, that works.
That
you should try and trade Jordan Mason.
Could be worse. Yeah, if that guy has CMC, I might consider. That sounds like a terrible trade for you, but it actually isn't. It's because Mason only has value when CMC doesn't play. Because that's the other thing that we're going to go through here. When I was going through, we're going to go through some waiver stuff a little bit, Jason. I know waivers is over, but there was something that happened that I thought was very interesting that I wanted to discuss with the group. So, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Give it a little bit of time.
We'll see more. Trust me, I'm already tracking. We'll be good to go.
Oh yeah.
No.
Things
okay, Daniel. This is important. Do not worry on this at all. Kincaid had no issue. That was their goal, was to take away Kincaid, because they knew what they had. They knew that he was going to be a target. So I'm not worried about Kincaid at all. He played just fine, but more often than not, he was going into double and triple coverage on almost every play. Anytime he was running a route, that was what was happening. He had either a cornerback or a linebacker coming up, as well as anybody close to him. I mean, it looked like times he was the one being bracketed, and they were like, beat me with somebody else. So they tried. I really think that Kincaid's fine. He saw more snaps and ran more routes than Knox. Granted, I think Knox actually caught more balls, but I'm not too worried on that because of just the coverage that they had. I will be curious to see if other teams decide to use that kind of idea.
Well, I don't know if they can, especially this week because they're playing Miami. So Miami's defense is
Busted.
yeah. So it's a good thing
Everybody's
that
broken.
yeah, it's a good thing that Miami can move the ball the way they do because they're going to probably need to. Uh,
Highest scoring game of the week.
this this just gets into the whole tight end thing in general. This was a historically bad week for tight end, even by my standards.
And scoring.
And it was bad. No one did well except Isaiah Likely, and that didn't really help very many people. So it was just a mess. And here's the thing. I will say, it was a big week for people like me that tell you that tight end doesn't matter. Boy, oh boy, was I right. But it's too early for me to take my victory lap because I don't feel like I have enough data. So it's 1 week. We're going to have to let it ride. That's why I brought up that whole passing stat thing and the whole nobody plays in the preseason thing. Because I think you're seeing a lot of that, and we need more data. I need more data, but it was, on its face, big week for me and my whole tight end doesn't matter philosophy. Boy, oh boy, if that continues, I am going to be the smartest boy in the village. Like I will be on here. I will be. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you dare. I've been saying this for years. If I see you taking that victory lap and not crediting me, ooh, I will do nothing. But yes, that's why Steve and I have. I've been saying it for years, and Steve and I have both had this conversation on the air numerous times. It's just a position that if I had my way, we wouldn't be playing tight end anymore. We would fold that in with wide receiver. You'd be playing another flex that says RB wide receiver tight end. Like that's what you would do. Or we would just fold it into the wide receiver pool and you'd be playing running back wide receiver. This is a conversation we've had for years around here. But yes, big week for people like me. But we don't have enough data. It's way too early to be puffing the chests out and saying, I see how right I am. No. Don't do that until we have at least I'd say 4 weeks you could start putting your eyebrow up. 6 weeks we have a conversation. That's where we are. 6 weeks, by the way, is like a third of the season. So, and even then, weird stuff happens. But yes, it's one of those deals. Nice to see Steve in the comment.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is, can you name the only team to have 3 tight ends in the top 15?
The Raiders?
The Saints.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Okay, yeah.
Moreau led the team with routes ran, Jawan Johnson, and then Taysom Hill is Taysom Hill. So
right. The honorary tight end.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
But that was just like crazy. And then again, on that same note, Noah Gray, same amount of catches and 3 more yards than Kelsey. It's just.
Yeah, and they signed your best friend, Gary Noah, to a long-term extension. That made me laugh.
3 years is very important.
That means laugh.
Past retirement.
Whole thing made me laugh. I don't want to spend too much time on that because it's not super fantasy relevant, but it did. It was something that I saw it. It made me think of you. I was like, oh, look at that, Jason. They do something for Jason. Let's see here. Where was it? Well, there you go. That's a good call. And then trade him, Mason, later. You get through this week with it, and then you trade it to him and get something nice off his bench. Or if your running backs are horrible, just hold on to it for a couple weeks. But at some point, you can make that deal. No, it's a great move. That's 100% what you should have done. Yeah. All right. Do we like Baker over Stafford this week?
I believe so. Rams play the Cardinals.
I literally have them like right next to each other in my rankings. So.
Bucks play the Lions.
I like Stafford playing Arizona. That's kind of why I kind of like it.
The only issue I have is no Puka. which I know wasn't that big a deal last week, but I think that there's more of a chance that the Bucks and Lions go crazy.
Yeah, they both have really good matchups.
More nervous that Stafford's able to hand it off, man.
I have them 13-14 in my rankings, man. They're like right next to each other. So that's a tough one for me specifically. I like either of them over Brock Purdy.
Terrifying.
Yeah. So there's that. But that's not really helping you. I'd say if it was
And
me,
Malik Willis.
if it was me, gun to my head, I would roll Stafford out there. But if you were going to play Mayfield because he's coming off the hot week, with what is still
4
a good
touchdowns.
matchup, not as good of a matchup, but still a good matchup, I certainly wouldn't blame you. What do you pick one, Jason? This is your shtick.
Yeah, I prefer Baker.
All right, we're going with Baker then. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, that is kind of a fun story.
Yeah, saying his comment about Mike Williams. If they single cover him, it's just not fair. I'm gonna throw it to him every time.
This is a crazy question.
But it's so good.
Crazy question.
But it's so good. Oh man, it's just I want to. I would definitely be rolling out Daniels here just because of the Russian floor. Easier matchup. He's going to be able to rush. He's able to throw it. You'll actually see a real Jaden Daniels here.
I'm not prepared to do this.
To do that?
I'm not prepared for this yet. I need more data. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not prepared for that. And he's talking about Baker. He is correct. He is objectively correct. But no, I'm not prepared for this yet. I'm not doing that. I can't do it. Jason will tell you one thing,
scared.
But I do get the thrust of the question, but my only concern is that they, even the lowly commanders, figure out how to like decimate them so bad that they're just running the ball in the second half. So I do have.
You know who else runs the ball though? Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, in theory. Is he going to secure his helmet, or is that just going to keep popping off the whole time?
That's just half part of it. It's his mojo. It's his stick.
Yeah, right. This has been the argument: is that would you ever actually like do that in a 16-team league, maybe? And even then, you're like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Taysom Hill could run one in. Like it's like, it's one of those deals. Like that is the eternal question. I like how he owns it. I appreciate people who own it. Like,
for sure. I was completely off on him too because one, it was a Jets run D, and so.
But the key here is the block. The key here is the blocking your opponent. Like normally we say don't counter draft, but in this case, you're not counter drafting. You're counter waiver wiring, and that is a good move because you've now acquired something that I am quite confident this man will want at some point in the future. Like, we'll get into price tags later because he ain't getting them this week. But that is something that you 100%. Whereas Williams, that's nothing. That could just easily get reclaimed off the wire if something happens. Jason Chuck is back.
What's up? Definitely happy. Love it. Marvin Harrison? Oh, no. I wouldn't be that scared. I think this is going to potentially be a pretty good week because I don't believe that. Oh my gosh, now I can't think of who they are playing. I even brought it up earlier. Oh, the Rams. I don't think the Rams are going to get pressure on him. I think that was a big part of it is that last week the Cardinals were under pressure a lot. Specifically, Mary was under pressure a lot. And so the short area targets were Dortch and McBride and Connor. And so he was getting rid of it and not really allowing for the play to develop for Marvin Harrison. So I'm not too worried about it. I am more worried for Zeke this week because it's a tougher matchup. Saints are actually pretty good against the run.
Well, given how Carolina played, they're going to make everybody look good
Yeah,
against everything.
I understand that, but even, I mean, also Zeke is splitting, and that was also not ideal. I didn't like how they did that with Dowdle. It's just the distribution was weird. I mean, it did seem like Zeke had the high quality touches, the more valuable touches. So he is the back to have, but I'd much rather just trust MHJ here and move on.
Okay. So, yep. No, makes sense. Makes sense, Daniel. Makes sense, especially when it's the block.
Yeah.
Oh, question. So in addition, his options are. I don't know if this is the same league, but Zeke, Jones, or Ford. Any of that do anything for you? Assuming it's the same league, then it would be PPR.
I mean, Ford gets a lot of touches.
Ford is getting volume. Jones is getting the sauce, which is targets plus red zone opportunities.
Yeah.
That's what we saw.
I mean, I might be okay with Ford this week, but because they play the.
Let me tell you. I'll tell you my ranking. While you're doing that, I'll tell you what my rankings say. I'll look it up. I'll look it up properly.
They play the Browns play the Jaguars, so Ford would have that option. That's actually a decent matchup, and then Aaron Jones plays the 49ers, so that'd be more of an issue. I'd much rather do Ford this week, because you get that safe play of what you really like out of a running back with the high quality, high value touches, pass catching, all that good stuff, and a decent matchup.
If I was gonna do this, and I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, this isn't something I would do. But if I was gonna do it, it would be for Ford. So we agree. It's not something I don't think either of us would do, but if I was gonna, it would be for Ford. But
I mean, he ran the most routes and played the most snaps for his team. Marvin Harrison Jr.
I get the question. He had a bad game. It's week 1 though, and I know it's a bad matchup. I think
the fact that he was getting pressured, Murray getting pressured, I think really made him look to his first and second read, which is usually going to be something close to him because that's just who he is and how he's been kind of curated to be and look for. And so that's why you saw the Dortch and McBride, and then
Michael Wilson catches the touchdown, which helps no one.
Yeah.
So it's like you just got. It's his first NFL game. Like I'm not ready to like throw this away, and I think Straight Cash Homie knows what we're talking about. Like you drafted the guy for a reason. I know the idea is like I have good running backs. I could get something from them. I'll put them on my bench and wait. Yeah, we're all in alignment. Everyone is in alignment on this.
Which is why we're saying play Daniel Jones, not okay.
Don't do that. We were trying to make a serious point. Don't do that.
Jane Daniels. I even messed it up. I was wrong running quarterback.
He did. He even got the wrong guy. If I did that, you'd send me to the penalty box. So far we've made it a full 30 minutes in, and no one's had to go to the penalty box yet. Still early. I'm so sorry. That is not where I want to be.
I'd be rolling out Andrews this week.
But I didn't know what the other options are. But I get the thought process of just start them both. You drafted them for a reason, but it's not a team I would want. Not in a 10 especially. But I get it. If you want to corner the market on a position, and that's your thought process, I understand how we got here, I think. All right. No, I do not. We talked about this a little bit, and I don't want to get into full reckless speculation. Oh God. Sorry, I had to put that up because that's fantastic.
Should make that into a shirt, Steve.
That's not a bad shirt. Do you think CMC will play this week? No, I don't. They've all but admitted that this isn't going to happen. So,
well, the fact that
don't
they didn't tell us last week was really, they're going to get fined for it.
whatever. They don't care.
I know they don't, but
Daddy will pay for that. No one will care. The reality of it is though is that they talked about it. I don't want to get into full reckless speculation because we don't know all the details, but they did say that his issue is tendonitis, and tendonitis is a chronic issue that you'll deal with for your whole life.
it's an old person thing.
Well,
Kind
yes. Well, it's kind of like it's inflammation where your muscle connects to the bone, and it's a repetitive stress injury. So you're going to deal with that, and they can manage it. And as a bonus in the NFL, in the real world, they'll just give you cortisone shots and they'll tell you go lay down for 2 weeks. In the NFL, they'll give you painkillers and they'll say go run through that wall.
of, you will. 'Cause you
So
can.
they don't want to do that in week 1,
Or
but they
week two
did
when they don't
say
need
that
to.
if it was a playoff game, he would have played. So I think he's just going to play through it, and he's going to play through it for the rest of his career. But the reality of it is, they also said this is not something that's new to them, and he was dealing with this last year, and we saw what happened. So
Did
I
just
think they're
fine.
just going to ease him in slow, and this is why we also talked about getting Mason after Elijah Mitchell hit the IR. It was like, well, this might make sense, but I don't think he's going to play this week. I think you're going to be without him. So did everyone. So
And you should
welcome
have.
to the club of everyone that had the opportunity. I think it's we're going to put this back up. In fact, if I could, I would make it bigger. I would make it bigger, and I would put like PowerPoint like graphics on it with like the transitions, so I could have it like slide in and star wipe, and like that's my advice right there.
Do you like the Batman spin with it? Like have us
Yeah.
disappear?
Yeah, I just say they give you a really expensive blood transfusion that normies like us can't get, and painkillers that we can't get. So it's like I don't want to compare people to like racehorses, but kind of what it is, man. They get like a level of healthcare that normal people just aren't going to get. So it is what it is, and you're going to deal with this. And hey, at least they are talking about it now, so it's something you could plan on. But this is also I don't want to sit here and pretend like this is the first time CMC has ever had some sort of injury thing ever. They're not talking about shutting him down. They've directly said he's got tendonitis. It's a chronic thing. He'll deal with that his whole life. He knows how to manage it. He's having a flare. If it was a playoff game, he would have played. So I'd say, and also they've talked about this in the past that they always say we want to work in other people to take the load off him so we can have him for games that matter later. Well, guess what? That week 1 game fully qualifies. And then what hurts worse is, well, they won. And Mason looked good. So now this is going to be a bit of a conversation, but there you go.
Yeah, so the next time we probably end up seeing him might be week 3 versus the Rams, maybe. Or what's that? 4, 5, 6, week 7 versus the Chiefs.
I don't know about if they wait that long.
Well, so, I mean, it just depends. I wouldn't be surprised if he sprinkled in and Mason sees a lot more work just until they feel good about what they have.
I'm thinking more like week 3, 4. We start seeing a
Rams,
changing
Patriots,
of the guard.
Cardinals.
Yeah, like where it's they want to give him a soft game. You know what I mean? So it's like I could see those games where he comes out against the Patriots and plays the whole first half, and then they're up by 40, and then they just sit him. And that's when you'll start seeing the changing of the guard happening. So I think it's going to be something where they're going to ease him in. Here you go, Jason. Here's one for you. Strictly for Jason. I'm not answering.
It's going to be McBride for me. Again, I'm just nervous that the Chiefs are going to just completely handle the Bengals.
I am looking at my rankings, believe it or not. I have Trey McBride 2 overall. So that's because the matchup is really, really favorable. And the Cardinals need to throw it to have any prayer in that game. Who they throw it to is going to be a subject of debate. But so there you go. We're both going to go. I know it's blasphemy, but we're both going to say McBride here for you.
McBride actually saw the most targets per route on the team. So that's my fun fact for that one.
All right. Rice and Wilson. Pick
Okay.
2. Oh. Well, we already said McBride, so
I mean, that's tough. Olave hurt you last week.
yeah, but again, they were winning that game by 30.
I know.
Like they were okay. Rashid Jaheed catches a deep ball and the game's over in the first quarter. I don't think that's gonna happen again against Dallas. Like that's a different animal. I'm playing McBride and Olave.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. That's my answer for you.
Same. Mostly because, again, I really think the Chiefs are going to end up running it a lot.
Okay, this has got to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Wilson, Rice, whatever. Isn't he Bryant? Whoa. There were so many extra things in here.
Okay, so we've already picked McBride, so that one's out of there. So it's Olave, Brian, McLaurin, JSN, Mason.
I'm not changing my answer.
Well, you've already whichever isn't tight end. So McBride's out of there.
Oh, I see.
So you get 2 still.
I
think I'm going to go McLaurin.
Ooh, no, I'm not doing that.
Really? The Commanders playing again?
Well, because okay, it's one tight end, so you would still have
the other tight end.
The other tight end. So you're telling me you'd play Terry McLaurin over Travis Kelce?
Yeah. Well, I'd probably actually play Brian Robinson.
Okay, that's
so real safe.
That's what I was going to say is, if I thought I was going to win, I would play Brian Robinson. If I thought I needed points, I'm going to play Kelce.
Oh, really? I'd go JSN if I wanted points.
JSN is scary. That whole team looks scary to me. All of the rest of it is scary. The rest of it, I don't want to deal with. McLaurin. I want to see Jaden Daniels, the game slow down a little bit because looks scary. Like he's running around like a crazy person back there because he's got no other choice.
Yeah.
JSN
this week,
the Seabags really took them 3 quarters to try and do anything, and so you got that going for you. Yeah, no, I would play Kelce if I need upside, Robinson if I need floor. That's my answer. Yeah. So my dad had tendonitis, and you want to know when it flared up? This is when he was in his 50s. He had tennis elbow. Yeah. So, yeah. My mom also had tendonitis. You want to know when that started? It was in her hip. And it was when she was in her late 50s. So, normal people, that's when you're going to start having that problem. Yes, it was smart for the Saints to get. Yes, you got to get that early. What did they pay him? $1.4 million. They got the NIU deal. That's what it was. All right. Right. Remove kicker. Good. We don't like that. We don't want to play kicker. I don't want to play defense either, if I'm honest, but I will. I'll tolerate that more than kicker. Well, boy, people were scared of Andrews. Man, that car crash freaked some people out.
Yeah, that's a heck of a deal.
This explains how we got the 2 tight ends.
Well, I mean, the guy didn't practice, which is also why you.
No, but this explains to me how he wound up in the position that he's in.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. In a 10-team league with no kicker, that doesn't matter as much. But people were clearly freaked out by the car crash, and then he didn't practice, and then likely, and it's like this whole thing. So I sort of get how we've arrived at this point. That makes sense. Okay. Hey, Jason. I'll tell you what. For the first time this season, why did your quarterback start a week there? How do you do that?
Well, it shouldn't surprise anybody because we started off the show with it. But Baker Mayfield versus the Lions. Think he's going to have to throw. He was one of the best performers in week 1 and the end of last year. Again, it's a good matchup. Has really great weapons that are healthy. Really not worried about it. I think this is a chance he'll have to throw again, and the Lions will get after it. But they're both going to be able to score. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be Lions at home, which makes it a little tougher for the Bucks. Means they're going to have the ball. Luckily, he has Mike Evans, who he loves, Chris Godwin, great option, and then Rashad White to dump it off to. Otten's also there. Just didn't get a whole lot of usage last week because, 4 passing touchdowns will can only give it to so many people.
Yeah. Well, and then also I will say the cheap answer here is Matthew Stafford, which is hilarious because it's a great matchup. Even with Puka, it doesn't matter because we saw how they're going to rotate. Tyler Johnson's going to work in. DeMarcus Robinson's going to work in. Between the two of them, they can handle it, especially because he draws the Cardinals, and their secondary is horrible, and their linebackers are horrible. And that's what we learned, is that the Cardinals' secondary and linebackers are just going to be bad all year. So that's a cheap answer. And between the two of us, we've now given you the cheap cop-out answers. So congratulations. Those are the cheap cop-out answers. If we go deeper, who do you like?
I actually have to look because I don't know what the ECR is for players.
I'll do mine first then. If you, yes, it does. It does indeed. Baker Mayfield reminds me of that guy who started that game, No Man's Sky, and then everybody was super mean about his game, and he spent the last 5 years locked in a shed creating DLC for this game, and he's just sitting there like, you were gonna be mean to me? No, I won't rest until everyone loves me, and I will just keep and it's just spite. It's just sheer force of will and spite motivates it, and I'm kind of here for it. It's the, for anyone who understands what I'm talking about, you get the analogy. It's literally that. If you're still looking, I will tell you there's a few attractive ones. If you go further down the page, if I was desperate, it would be either, depending on what's available, it would be either Justin Fields or Caleb, and I kind of lean Fields just because I know he looked like crap, and don't look at his next level stats.
But he scored
really
fine.
bad. But the rushing floor.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying if I had to go down the page a bit, it would be Fields because he's going to play, and Denver's defense looked terrible, and he's got the rushing floor. So it would be Fields. I'm not talking about rostering Fields long term. I'm just saying for a 1 week, like, I hate my other options, it would be Fields. So that's my deep dive.
I mean, if you want to go ugly, I'd actually go Trevor Lawrence right behind him.
Yeah, okay. If
Good
you want to get in the dumpster,
Browns.
Is that because the Browns put 4 players on their defense on IR on Monday? Because that did happen.
Could,
might have something to do with it.
Contribute just a little bit.
Might have something to do with it. Okay. I felt bad doing. We kind of did cop outs, so I wanted to give people something a little more real. Like,
yeah, and
if you have to get in the dumpster,
really
want to get,
if you want to get dirty, and should be available pretty much everywhere. Derek Carr.
Yeah, that's available everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. If you want to get real dirty, I know Dallas. He's gonna have to throw it, man.
Yeah, I'm not totally co-signing the dare. I want to see that happen again. I'd like to see that happen against not Carolina.
Yeah.
My takeaway from that game is start anyone you have against Carolina, and then the rest of it is like, we're going to see. That was my big takeaway, was that, certain things that I feel really good about. Carolina's going to be a dumpster fire all year. The Giants are going to be a dumpster fire all year. It's just, these are things that are going to happen. But I don't know that I want to spot.
So Justin Herbert, welcome to the stage.
Yeah, we'll see. We're going to see. But yeah, I don't know if I want to go. I'd like to see Derek Carr. Hey, if Derek Carr lights the lamp against the Cowboys, okay, we'll have a different conversation with you next week. We'll start talking about that a little differently. Jason, do sit of the week.
Again, touchdown on the top. Brock Purdy versus the Vikings. I'm nervous, man. He looked fine, but he just won't have to do a whole lot. And if they're able to score it by rushing with Debo and Mason, why risk throwing it anywhere near the end zone? You really don't need to. Both those guys are able to score and are just such incredible threats that it's terrifying. It really hurts him, and it's the Vikings who.
He can't help but read. I just put random things, and Jason can't. He can't finish his thought. He just has to read it. Like,
Yes, my
I knew
brain.
that would derail him if I did it. It's a flashing light. It's got a rhyme in it. He can't help himself. Keep going. Were you done?
Yeah, I mean, there's just not or Brock. It's again, Brock Purdy will be fine, but it's just
Also a
the
cop out because he's
yeah.
12 in the ECR.
Well,
So
the top 12 is also like everybody this week is.
there are a lot of sits this week.
Yeah,
I could make this argument about 5 guys. I could literally do it. If you want me to, I will. It's going to eat up a lot of time.
In the top 12?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong
There's a
one.
lot of death.
A lot of death.
There's a lot of bad matchups in the top 12.
Yeah, but again, if you at this point, if you score more than 2 touchdowns, you're pretty much going to be a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah, but again, I don't need to be right. I just need to make the argument. What part of this is unclear? You sound like the people I work with. I don't need to be right. I just need to be able to defend myself. It's not that's life. I know people shh, don't tell people that, but it's true. Like it's
well, because
true
usually what
statement.
happens
Like,
is I give my crazy answer and then you dogpile on me, which is fine.
not always. I do like to do that.
Because the sit would be Patrick Mahomes then.
Well, I wouldn't make the argument about Patrick Mahomes. I have other ones. I could make the argument about Jaden Daniels because he only has to play the first half. So, okay, that's a really solipsistic, crappy argument, but it's true. I could make the argument about Kyler Murray because he has to play a real defense. And let's see what happens when he has to play the real defense in the Rams. That is a good secondary and good linebackers. Let's see if he can actually repeat it. I can make that argument about Tua because he actually has to play a real defense. It's at home, so I'm not going to make that argument.
I mean,
I'm not making that argument.
Bills that are beat up.
Yeah, but no, Brock Purdy's the one that is the safest. That's the safest. No, mine literally was Jaden Daniels, and it's literally because I'm expecting a massive game from Brian Robinson as they're just running the game out because they're going to score. Like if you're playing Jaden Daniels,
at the same time, you really want him to be the quarterback that. Right now, it's your chance to really tune up and get used to.
Right. So that's why it's tough. It's tough because, look, the whole question from before about would I sit in for Patrick Mahomes? No. I mean, I would play Patrick Mahomes. I get Steve's thing about it's close. But the Jaden Daniels thing is scary because, yeah, they might want to get him tune-up reps, but they might literally just say, all right, kid, you did it. So you're kind of hoping that, like, he scores 2 touchdowns in the first half. Otherwise, he might be done in the third quarter and the game's over. So, and it's a division game. So it's like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you, the other one I had was Brock Purdy. And then I saw you had it. And I was like, yeah, I'm a little scared of Brock Purdy against Minnesota with weirdness happening all around it. But no, it would be Jaden Daniels. It's like, based on literally the argument that they just might not need him. They could just win this game by running the ball. And they might, because Brian Robinson played really well last week. He looks very healthy. For a man that got shot through the knee. Knee looks good. No complaints about the knee. Like
really great discount. Hope you bought into it.
Real quick before we go into running back, would you drop Njoku for Tank? I'm sorry, we can't do Tank, just Tank anymore. He's not Cher. Tank Bigsby. There's 2 tanks now.
Yeah. I mean, he has Pitts as his other tight end. Yeah, sure. I wasn't too again. It's the Browns week 1. Didn't love what I saw out of him. Also had a really tough matchup.
You want a real hot take? I think they should cut Deshaun and start Jameis the rest of the season. I said it's a hot take. Like,
no, I completely
take that money and shovel it right into the furnace, and we just play Jameis.
Yeah, Jameis will be great for fantasy.
Or we trade Deshaun to Carolina for a ham sandwich. Take their pool table out of their training room.
But
like a joke trade.
And Njoku being injured also make that kind of easy too.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't have an IR slot. But yeah, I would consider doing that largely because Njoku's probably going to miss, by my estimation, it'd be about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Before you need him again. So at this point, if you don't need him, you could probably get around it. I would consider doing this if I needed a running back. Because running back is so hard to come by. I'm imagining everything else is rostered all the way out to like running back 60. Yeah, you ain't doing that. And you ain't cutting Chubb out of the IR.
Nope.
So, yeah. I think I'd do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Completely fine with that. I mean,
one more before we do running back. Devonta Smith, Rice, Olave, McLaurin.
it's going to be real hard not to play Rice moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to play Rice. That's the one that I've got. Like, Rice is a borderline top 10, top 12 play until further notice. That's just how it's going to be. He didn't even get that much volume, and he was paying you off. Like, I speak that as a man who rosters Rashee Rice. Like it was great. It was a little scary because the volume wasn't there, but it doesn't really matter. Like, and then I think I'm just going to go. I think I'm going Smith here.
Okay. I kind of figured that might be it. It's real tough between Smith and McLaurin for me.
Yeah, I am terrified of McLaurin, and you know how much I love McLaurin, but
I
this
know.
whole thing scares me.
But he ran so many routes.
He's on the field. That's not different than every other year.
I know.
It's like I live in the movie Groundhog Day. It's nothing changes. It's like it's the same thing.
But this might be the time versus the Giants. It's
so aggravated by this whole conversation. I know it could be, but anything is life is chaos. Like that's why I'm saying I'd probably roll Smith out there against Atlanta. That's probably what I would do. Yeah, I'd play Smith and Rice. I think, and then I might want to even play Olave over McLaurin just based on the idea that they're gonna have to throw in that game. Don't love his matchup, but they're gonna have to throw. If Rashid Shaheed has another game the way he did, then we start having. Well, I'm sorry. If he has 3 more games in a row the way that he did, then we start having conversations about what's going on. But that's kind of where I'm at. So there you go, Daniel. All right, Jason. Do your running back start of the week.
All right. Again, kind of ugly, but go with Devin Singletary versus Commanders.
Ooh, wolf.
Yep.
I don't know about kind of ugly. That's just regular ugly.
But I'm expecting John to be pressured. Singletary saw a majority of the snaps. If they can actually get near the end zone, could actually see him scoring. The opportunity is there. Again, this week's very tough because, of course, all these good players are going. And so going with what
he can't help himself. If I do it, he has to read it. That's what we're learning here. I can't. I have to wait until he's done talking to post it because here.
But yeah,
finish your thought.
It's just the pass catching, everything. He should be fine. It's a good matchup for him, and it's the opportunities there. They're going to have to pass. They have to do something. They have to figure. Daniel Jones just needs to be passing to whoever's close to him. We saw that with Robinson this past week after he tried to allow plays to develop. It wasn't working. Their tight ends were completely useless, so you might as well use Singletary. And I think that they make that adjustment this week.
Okay. So real quick before I put that back up, for me it's Tony Pollard because he's playing the Jets. And what did you just watch?
Mason
and then also, what did we all on both ends of this equation? We just watched the Jets struggle to stop the run, and we just watched Will Levis be incompetent at throwing the ball. I'm firing up Tony Pollard on the idea that this is going to be, hey, you know how the more things change, the more they stay the same? The Titans are going to run the ball, baby. That's what we're learning, is that if it's going to be Will Levis throwing the ball, they ain't winning nothing. So hand the ball off, Mayo boy. Hand it off, baby. Spears, get your Pollard, get it all shined up, because that's what we learned. I don't want to overreact to one game, but my God, he looked lost out there. And I want to point out, the Bears defense is not horrible, but they're not a world-beating defense, okay? Like, that is not like a playoff defense. You know what I mean? Like, they're fine. They're middle of the road, maybe a little better than middle of the road, but they're not a top 10, like you're afraid of it defense. No, Will Levis proved to you, like, he's got a long way to go. It's the opposite of the old Virginia Slims commercials. You've come a long way, honey. You got a long way to go, honey. That's what we saw. So I think the reaction to that's going to be, here you go. This is how we're going to have to do this. And the Titans are a lot of things, but if they know how to do anything, it's here you go. Like, so, and what did they, like I said, what did the Jets just fail at? Stopping Mason. So there you go.
But that could also be due to the fact that 49ers are kind of made to run the ball.
They are, but the Titans were made to run the ball forever. Like, it's a simple adjustment. If I'm not, I'm not worried about it. Like, especially with all the people that are like,
well, and Hopkins being busted too.
Yeah, the whole thing. Like, they're gonna run. They're gonna run the ball. If they're gonna win, they're gonna run the ball. That's how it's gonna go. Here you go. It's a good meme right here. That's some good Arrested Development. Put that right in my veins. Yep, that is how that goes. I have McLaurin primarily in Dynasty, but I know what he means. I know how it goes. Like, spent a lot of time defending Terry McLaurin, and it's not that it's just he's the new Allen Robinson. Like, it's not even the new Allen Robinson. He's the same age. Like, it's just the way that it is. Like, could you imagine what would happen if he ever got a decent quarterback? And he might still in Daniels, but it's not happening yet, and it's going to be a minute. So, Steve always spits facts. That's why he's here. The sit of the week.
Najee Harris versus the Broncos. Still splitting the backfield, even with a busted Warren.
Boy, that's a good matchup to be talking about.
I know.
Sitting him.
I completely understand that, but it's just, man, I didn't like how the split broke it down. I'm assuming it's just going to get worse this week. I know that Harris still saw like a majority of work, which should be how that works out. It's just, it's rough. I don't love that split. And I know it's Arthur Smith and being who he is, and of course still managing to get the running back 3. Why can't I think of his name?
Cordarrelle Patterson.
Parrott, yeah. I was like, and he's still getting touches. Like, I don't understand. He moved the team. Arthur Smith was like, yeah, sure, bring him on over. We can use him. Figure it out. It's just like everybody's just eating each other. Harris does have a majority of it, but I'm worried.
Yeah.
The offense scares me with Fields being the actual rushing leader for the team. He looked really
well
good
for as long as that's going to be a thing. Yeah.
But that includes this week.
It does include this week, and that's why it is the sit of the week. That's a good one because of how good the matchup is. I think a lot of people are. I thought you were going to say J.K. Dobbins, but I know who I'm talking to. Even I'm not going to say J.K. Dobbins because while he's healthy, you might as well play him.
Yeah.
Like, while he's still healthy,
ride that tornado.
Might as well. No, for me, it's Kenneth Walker. Not a good matchup against the Patriots.
Potentially injured.
And he is already nicked up because that is the life and times of Kenneth Walker. So there's every chance he goes out and plays, and then they shut him down in the second quarter. And then you're going to be sitting there like, duh. And then we're going to have that conversation all week about why is Kenneth Walker made of glass? And why is his abdominal made of egg cartons? And it's not his fault. The man has bones like everyone else. It's not on him. But the fact that we're not getting any clean reporting on it is also sketchy because they won't talk about it. And I'm like, I don't like that you won't talk about it. Like, it scares me more that he's the only one willing to talk about it. Like, the coach won't talk about it. The doctors won't. Nobody wants to talk about this. And I'm like, okay. Now, the annoying part about that is you might not have better options because he is still going to be rated as an RB2 and will be until he's ruled out. But this is why we were preaching the importance of rostering Zach Charbonnet. So there you go. That's my sit of the week. I would argue that Jason's was maybe a little more helpful to the common folk. Not me with my first world problems. We did. Did we do this question?
No, that's a new one.
Oh, because it was added with additional players. Yeah, we didn't do this. Pick one. My heart wants to say Robinson because that's the one I feel the safest about because of reasons I've already stated. By ranking, I would tell you it's probably Olave. I'm confirming that now. Yes. By ranking, I would have it as Olave. Second choice would be Stevenson. And then third choice would be Robinson. But of all of those, the safest option, the way I have it, weirdly, but he has the lowest upside.
Oh, completely.
So it's
Because
like,
not.
yeah, and I'm not playing McLaurin or Sutton. So I'd say I'd probably play Olave because we're still in start your studs territory. And that's what you drafted him for.
That's fair.
What do you think? Are you playing Robinson? Is that what it is?
I mean, I liked how he was used in that first game. And granted, I know this is an easier matchup, but I also don't think that they give the reins over to Eckler.
Like
Well,
that conversation.
if they get up.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, we're going to
like,
talk about the split in that backfield at some point because weirdly both of them have had value in week one. So it's like people were like, Austin Eckler's dead. And I'm like, Austin Eckler had 12 points. So he ain't totally dead. So it's going to be one of those things we have to keep. That's one of the things I got my eye on.
Yeah, I have a handful of those things.
All right. Before we do wide receiver, I'll take this first if you want to think about it. So I was having this conversation with some people actually on Monday, and people keep talking about how like, oh, Jaleel McLaughlin like got more points and he outsnapped Javonte Williams, and I'm like, yeah, that's not shocking to me. I've been talking about that since last year, and it's not a knock on Javonte Williams. It's that they love Jaleel McLaughlin, and in games when they're losing, which they were all day, Jaleel McLaughlin's going to be on the field because he can catch passes, and that's what Sean Payton does. He likes to have a little guy that can go out and catch passes. And that's what Jaleel McLaughlin's job is. So in games with positive game script, Javonte Williams will be huge. And in games where they are losing, most of their games, by the way, Jaleel McLaughlin will be the one that you want. Here's the problem. I don't think you want any of it at the moment because we're talking about the difference between 4 and 7 fantasy points. Any of that really that appetizing to you, Jason?
Nah, I mean, if you're going to do that, I'd rather go with like Justice Hill.
Well, that's why like Jaleel McLaughlin was a 10th round pick, and I was like, I'm good with that. Whereas Javonte was like 6th, 7th round pick, and I'm like, let that go. Now I will say, Bo Nix is going to be a work in progress all year. They already know they got to run the ball better. Because I did the math on this. If you take Bo Nix out of it, they ran the ball for 67 total yards. That can't happen if they're going to do anything. And Peyton literally acknowledged that on the podium. And if you add Bo Nix in, they ran for 107 yards. That's trash. They cannot win games with that little rushing. So they're going to have a commitment to running the ball. But the problem is that I have a feeling this is one of those teams that for a while at least, it's going to be ugly because they're going to be in negative game script because they're just not good. And they, by the way, they know they're not good. They know they're not going to be good in all likelihood. I've made a lot of enemies just by saying that statement because, Jason, as you know, I live out here. And everybody who lives out here is like, this is going to be it. They're going to outkick all their expectations. And I'm like, let's see them play some actual games. Because they're all buying into the preseason and into the training camp. And I'm like, don't do that. Let's see what happens when they play against not their own secondary. And we saw what that looked like through one game. A lot of rust. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not sold on the idea that, like, it's the same thing with Will Levis, where it's like, you got to see what happens in a real game at game speed. And let's see what the decision making looks like. So for me right now, I'm more interested in McLaughlin to the extent I'm interested in anyone. But this team is going to struggle, is what we're learning in real time. So temper expectations. But that being said, they are going to make more of an effort to run the ball. So let's give it the standard customary 3 more weeks. and let's see what happens. I wouldn't panic sell, but I would be looking at my roster like, do I have anyone that I think could get more than Javante until they figure this out? And then start thinking about maybe putting Javante on the bench. Like, for example, we could talk about Jason's favorite player, Palmer, Josh Palmer, who got a whopping 3 and got ejected. So, like, weird stuff happens, but, there is that.
McConkey looked good though.
What's that?
McConkey looked good though.
Yeah, sure. He didn't get ejected.
Yeah.
The
Palmer likes to be getting fights. I feel like that's his third.
Raiders is such a disaster. Just in general, like the whole everything about it is such a train wreck. That was one of the teams we didn't talk about. The Raiders, I think, will be bad. They looked horrible. And they got into a fight and lost.
Well, Joe Alt, baby, making his debut and stopping Max Crosby.
For the record, Daniel, because I'm going to try and do this quickly.
Sutton.
No, Shakir.
Shakir, yeah.
Yeah, Shakir. Give me the guy that's actually out there on a team that looks competent.
Okay, I was like, so Sutton.
No. Remember the second part, the team that looks competent.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Sutton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Shakir Sutton. Yeah, Shakir Sutton in that case. All right. Whoa, that's a lot of rating. Amari, JSN, McLaughlin, Jacoby, or Josh Palmer. Kenneth Walker. Boy, hang on, I got to read. Okay, I wouldn't sit anything that you're starting. I don't.
I think he's specifically talking about Harris. Would you swap any of those for Harris? Cooper?
No, it's over Najee, dude. Read.
Yeah,
Amari,
Najee
Jason, McLaughlin, Jacoby. Oh, I'm an idiot. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Forgot what his last name is. I forgot what his last name is. It's fine. That's how little I think about Najee Harris. I don't think about Najee Harris. I wouldn't sit any of that.
I was literally talking about any of Amari, Jason, McLaughlin, Jacoby, or Palmer
over Harris specifically. Yes. Yeah, I get it.
In a PPR format.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, I'm trying to get you back on the rails a little bit, give you a little nudge. I already said it. For me, it's going to be Cooper.
Yeah, as much as that makes me want to throw up, I'm getting there.
I would say Palmer, but I'm also potentially nervous that they not let him play this game for the ejection.
Oh God, I wouldn't play with them. I would love to play. I would love to play JSN.
Not confident in it though.
But yeah, like no.
About to feast is what's about to happen.
If I was gonna play somebody else, it would be Amari Cooper. But this is one of those situations where I'd be looking very critically at the team I'm playing against and trying to decide what I need. Because Cooper obviously has the upside in a world where his quarterback isn't Deshaun. But Harris has the floor. So much more floor. You're getting such a more reliable number. And I've only got Harris about 5 spots lower in my flex rankings. So by ranking, I would play Cooper, and no one else, by the way, is on this list. You're talking about Amari Cooper or Najee Harris. And I'd say if I need upside, because I think I'm about to get spanked, I'd play Amari Cooper and roll the dice. But if I thought I could win, like without him, and I just need points to win, because I'm outmatching my opponent, then I'm just going to play Najee Harris and just take my point total. Because I know what I'm getting. All right, Jason. Wide receiver start of the week.
Brandon Cooks versus the Saints. Had to, man. Ferguson's already going to be out. Makes it pretty easy for the second target. Ran a second most routes on the team. Gonna throw him out there. I know it's the Saints. I think Lamb will be just fine as well. But him as an option in a game that I think that they want to really get things rolling. Cooks did a pretty solid job this past week. And I just don't see them getting away from him this week. So makes it easy.
Okay. That does make it easy. I will do this. I'll do this in a couple ways. I'm gonna do it quickly. One is Jaden Reed, but that's borderline cheating. Even with Malik, I don't care. Don't care. He's too explosive. Even Malik could could hand him an end around, and he's gone anyway. So don't care about that. But that's cheating because he's right on the fringe. So that's like cheating. And also, given the week he had last week, I don't see how you're gonna sit him.
Yeah.
And then so let's throw that out for a moment. I just had to do a plug for my man Jaden Reed, my light, my love, my life, Jaden Reed, who I am through 1 week. I was getting in the blocks to take my victory lap, like, and I'm like, no, it's week 1, don't do that, like. But yeah, I was getting on the blocks, like, let's go, baby. So we'll do things that are more relevant. So Keon Coleman was very impressed with one game with Keon Coleman. He looks like what they were hoping he would be, which is reliable Gabe Davis, and he looks good. So I would say Keon Coleman, and then Jason, if you're really slumming it, Wandale Robinson, baby. If you're
target all
if
day.
you're reaching down into the bag and you need a thing, Wandale Robinson, someone we're going to talk about a lot this year, I think, because the Giants are terrible. And so they need that short yardage specialist, and Wandale is that guy for as long as he's healthy. So if you need a compiler, Wandale is the definition of compiler for this year. And think Cole Beasley from years gone by. Like just straight up, the man never runs more than 4 yards past. It doesn't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. So in PPR, Wandale, if you're slumming it, that was one of my ones that I was like, yep. So far through one game, the Wandale pick looks real good. Sorry, Malik Neighbors, Mister. I run down the field and I'm genuinely talented. Doesn't matter.
I mean, they were close. Right, wide receiver 31 and 32.
It's not what you drafted Malik for. So real quick, sit of the week.
Shouldn't be any surprise here. George Pickens versus the Broncos. Guessing he's going to get Surtain. Do I need to say anything else? Also,
no, we saw what Surtain did to DK Metcalf, and that's not the first time he's done that to DK Metcalf. They talked about it on the broadcast. Like, it's almost like Pat Surtain is really, really, really talented and would be worth like 2 first-round picks on the open market. No one would ever give you that, but it's pretty much what he's worth. Like, there's a reason they gave him that extension, and I'm like, hey, it's the first smart thing you've done in like 4 years is pay that man, because you should be paying that man player. You should be paying that man a lot of money around here. And they are, so that's good.
Yeah, the fact that he completely erased DK is just
incredible. Was draped all over him. He was on him like white on rice in a snow globe. It was unbelievable. There was no separation. He was just hanging on him.
I thought at least he'd get 1 or 2 and it'd make your day. Nope.
Nope. Straight nothing. For me, it's Devontae Adams. The Raiders look like trash. Baltimore's got a really good secondary. And did I mention the Raiders look like trash? Because it's going to be a recurring theme. What?
Bowers looked good.
Yeah. No. Okay. Good luck. Sustain that if you want. Go ahead. Let's see that happen again. Let's do it again. But it's Devontae. Pay that man. Exactly. It's my club, and I will splash the pot whatever I please. Like, exactly.
Yeah.
Get my Oreos.
God, that movie was so good.
All right. So yeah, Devontae Adams. Turns out Sal Vetri, who is worth a follow on Twitter if you don't know who I'm talking about, by the way. Not to shill for other people. Don't know the man, just someone I think is cool. Sal Vetri's been talking about that for a long time, about he's very worried about Devontae, and he might be onto something. I thought the stash would be able to carry him, but man, oh man, oh man. And so couple that with having a really horrible, skin-peelingly bad matchup. Yeah, I don't want to play Devontae this week.
Well, maybe the Chargers are a good defense. Maybe they switch things around.
I doubt it, but okay. And all right, we have a few more questions, and then we're gonna do tight end, and we're gonna get out of here. So let's try and get out. We're gonna try and get out of here in the next like 10 minutes, okay?
All right.
So Daniel, getting his money's worth tonight.
DJ Moore, Ridley, Waddle, Tyler Johnson, Palmer, Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
All right. So Bears play the Texans. So probably going to roll out more.
It's
Allen and Odunze are dealing with injury.
Well, I'm gonna play Waddle. That's happening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably play Moore. I don't see how that's not gonna happen. So that's 2.
And then Kirk?
Yeah.
Or are you going to go Johnson?
I'm not going Johnson.
Or do you think you go with
it's not gonna be Palmer. It's not gonna be Johnson. So really you're talking about Ridley
versus the Jets.
Versus Kirk. Is what you're discussing here. And I'm gonna play Kirk. So there it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree.
Yep. All right. So we agree. Waddle
Kirk.
Yep. There you go. All right. And in the flex, PPR, pick 1. Oh, Higgins if he's playing.
Yeah. Definitely.
Higgins if he's playing. And then if he's not. Ooh. That's. Probably.
Because I'm not trusting Hollywood either. Coming off injury.
Yeah. Boy.
Yep. That's rough. That's a rough go.
Yeah, it's rough, buddy. His girlfriend got turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy. Yeah. I think you're just really hoping Higgins plays here. And then, yes, I would play Tank Bigsby. That's my second choice.
Yep.
Flowers, Dell, London. Pick 2.
Man, I hate having to look this up. Ravens versus Raiders. Oh, Flowers is definitely playing. Texans versus Bears. Falcons versus Eagles. Dell and Flowers it is.
Yeah. Yep, we agree. Yeah, play Dell. I'm probably going to play Dell and Flowers. And hey, what's up, Heavy? It's good to see you. We covered this earlier in the show, but I don't know if you were here. I don't, as a rule, don't recommend doing any trades until at least after week 4. You don't have enough data. So that's my advice, is I tend to not do anything.
But are you willing to give away Jamison Williams for Drake London? I mean, I probably would, but because I think the Falcons are going to round into form, and then London's going to be.
It's a good deal. It's a good deal. I'm assuming PPR. I mean,
it looks really great on paper.
I'm assuming PPR here, and I get the question because you are being offered this by someone who clearly is overreacting to week 1.
Yeah, London did nothing. He's not.
London did nothing. I want James William. So.
Do you pull that trigger though, man? I
tend to not do any trades until after week 4 as a rule, because I don't feel like I know enough. But this might be the rare exception. But the problem is that this is like the definition of playing with fire. This is how you get burned.
Very, very, very much so. Yes.
Because you can't. Well, no, you can't wait on this. It's either you do it now or you don't, because
it's not going to be around for long either way.
I hate people who do trade. I know why this is happening. Like, I can't stop it, and I hate having this conversation because we have to have it every year. And then, see, here's what happens. I'm going to tell you to do it, and then Drake London's going to literally like disappear into the sun and then just not do anything all year. And then it's going to be, well, Neil told me it was a good idea. And it's like, well, it might have been at the time. Like, and then I get blamed later. But I mean, yeah, if you're just talking about like, here's what's messed up. I think I'm looking at my rest of season rankings, and I think every single thing that I do would tell you to probably do it.
Yep. But Drake London only saw 3 targets and was out targeted by Ray McLeod, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts.
I know, but Amon-Ra St. Brown also saw like 4 targets, and it's like, do you think that's sustainable? No. Well, like, so that's my problem.
I know, but
this,
like, I see where people are going, but if this is going to be the case, I don't think it is, because I think London is a talent, as is Pitt, and they clearly have Bijan, who is just seeming like the best pick right now for top 5 running back. Like, seems like he's stabled in just fine. You have to say yes.
I think I'd take it. I think I have to take it.
If you,
I think I'd have to smash it heavy. I think I'd have to smash it as much as I don't want to. As much as it goes against all of the rules that I've learned over 15 years of giving advice to people. This is not something I do, but this is such a value that I feel like you have to take it. You have to. It's PPR. He confirmed it. Because in reality, you are getting a top 20 asset for not a top 20, not even close to a top 20 asset. Heavy, you got to smash. You got to smash. And I'm sorry if this blows up and it burns you. But I would take it. I would take it.
Could.
I would go right now and accept it. I would go right now and accept it. And you can flame me in the comments later if this fails, but I would do it. I would take him. I would take London right now. Because I think the guy who's offering this to you is way overreacting. I think this is the kind of thing that he will be sad about later. Because I think there's a real chance that you're going to get a top 20 wide receiver out of this for not a top 20 wide receiver.
Okay, I'm going to plug a podcast or another YouTube here that you should probably go and check out, because one of the people that I trust very heavily on this topic, in the Believe podcast.
You're going to go ask Jack?
And ask Jack. Jack would know. Yeah.
If you have time, I would co-sign that. I would ask Jack Kavanaugh on the Believe show. But this, I would do. Time being a factor.
Yeah,
I would do it. Like, I would just do it. I would do it, and I would accept the fact that this guy has way overreacted to week 1, and I would fleece him. I would fleece him, and then I would laugh at him like 10 weeks later and be like, hey, remember that? Like, because this is why we say to not overreact to week 1. Because if I go into what's most likely to happen, Williams regresses to the mean, Amon-Ra doesn't take a 4 every week, and Drake London rounds into form as Kirk Cousins gets more confident. I would take it, and that's what I would do. I agree. Week 1 panic mode is real. It is real. It's real in here. Daniel, I told you personally. I personally told you in writing.
I'll be back tomorrow. It'll be fine.
That's true. Jason is setting lineups tomorrow before the Thursday game, Daniel. That's what we discussed. So real quick, Heavy, good luck. I would smash that deal.
Hoping for the best for you, man.
Hoping for the best. Let us and it's funny because everybody agrees. Everybody unilaterally agrees that they would take that deal. It's kind of funny. Like, even the audience is like, do it. And I can't
There's a reason they're here.
I can't get 8 people to agree on anything was going to be my point. Like, so when everybody agrees, all right, Daniel. Hit me. Daniel, you have a limited window here, but I'll do it for you because we like you. I'll hang out and we'll answer some questions.
So wrap it up with tight ends, and then we can get.
We're
to
gonna
Daniel?
let Daniel type, and
Okay.
then, well, you could do that, but I want to eat dinner. So you could do that, but I'm hungry. It's dinner time where I live. So like, put him here. Jason and I are gonna do tight end while you do it, and then we'll rapid fire it for you. And then, uh, me too. Like, yeah, like, so there you go. I want to make sure we didn't miss anything else. I don't think so. We got a little involved with that trade. I wasn't expecting Heavy to come in at the last minute with that trade and blow my mind, because I'm sitting there like ready to say no, no, and then he's like, well, then you look at the deal and it's like, no, you got to do that. You've got to do it. Objectively, I hate it, but you have to do it. It's not an option.
Not
Like,
nothing.
you have to take this. All right, we answered all the other start sits. So while Daniel is typing, we're gonna do tight ends while he's typing. And then I had one other thing that I don't know if Steve is still around. He probably went home, but he had to go make dinner for his children, more than likely. But here you go. I
We
I
used
I
to
agree.
have one of those. Do we still have that wheel somewhere?
Yeah, we had a wheel at some
Okay.
point. We could go dust it off. There was a wheel that was created a long time ago. Um, they're offering him a top 20 asset for like a 10th round pick.
Yeah.
It's like it's next level stupid. Like it's such a stupid trade that it's like I would. Oh, and Steve is still here. Okay, good. The wheel still lives, and Steve is still here confirming it. Perfect, perfect. We'll dust the wheel off. We'll get the wheel back, and that's a good idea. We'll have to do the wheel for tight ends in the future because that'll be really
3,
funny.
6,
But yes, for
9,
anyone,
12.
I didn't want to put this up until we got to tight end, but there you go. Yeah, we'll just put a bunch of tight ends on a wheel and then we'll spin it. And that is correct. That's how we'll do the tight end rankings. Actually, is just spin the wheel and load that into the ECR. And no, I didn't, because I didn't want to be mean. I didn't want to be mean about that, Daniel. I'd probably start a fight. I'd probably start a fight in the background if I did. But yes, I thought about it. I legitimately thought about photoshopping some raise the roof with Jason. But I was like, no, that's just gonna start a fight. It would be our best selling shirt though, is the problem. And then I'd have to give him royalties, and it would be this whole thing because we'd be using his likeness even more than we already do. Like, we can't. I thought about it and I was like, no, I gotta. That's like a whole fight that we're gonna have in the background here. All right, Jason. Hey guys, do it 10 at start of the week. I pretend I care.
I'm going to say a name that surprised even me with Colby Parkinson. Yeah. I don't know if I would have scoffed. I liked pretty much any tight end. I didn't expect Juwan to be out there, but was right behind Foster. So that's a fun one. But Colby Parkinson, love the matchup versus the Cardinals, who were like dead last year against tight end. Their linebackers are still trash. Granted, I think Cub is going to get fed, but might as well share the love and go to Parkinson as well. Robinson's going to see a lot. I really don't think they're going to have to worry a whole lot about this. He gets 5 targets, 50 yards, you're set. I mean, that's going to be top 12 tight end every week. So really like the option. I wish this was going to be more competitive. I think there's a chance that it might be because Cardinals offense continues to roll. And actually put a scare on the Bills last week, which I think was a lot of rust. But seeing if they can do it again this week, Parkinson becomes an interesting play for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like
I wish Moreau didn't have a concussion because he'd be right back up there again.
It's true. It's true, actually. It is.
He would have been my pick. It wouldn't have been close.
Yeah. It's definitely that's definitely a thing. The
Must
cop
have.
out answer here is Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah.
Against the
Because
horrible Denver linebackers, but it's Fields. Like this is why so much of this is a crapshoot. So I actually am going back to the well on this with Tyler Conklin against Tennessee because we just watched the stupid Bears have success against Tennessee linebackers. And I know Rodgers looked like death because he's trying to get back into football shape. And I know Conklin had like 2 receptions. I know all this. But I think the Jets are going to look significantly better against the Titans. And I think Tyler Conklin has a real chance he's just going to be standing wide open in the middle of the field. And if he can do that, then Rodgers can get him the ball. So there you go. So it's going to be Tyler Conklin for me. Who's your sit of the week?
Dalton Schultz versus the Bears.
Oh, wow. He's a good matchup.
Yep.
It's a good matchup.
You know who saw the touchdown targets last week? Diggs. And that's what I said was my worry in the offseason. I was worried that Diggs would be the one who took the slot away from him. And sure enough, that's what happened. And Diggs did very well with it, seeing, I think, the most targets on the team and scoring. Like, if that's going to happen and Schultz isn't going to find the end zone, there's no reason he should be ranked in the top 12. It's going to be Diggs every week.
Okay. I can't really argue with that. It's not so much about Diggs specifically. It's about all of them together.
Yeah, with Collins clearly being the one, Dell coming in for as a wide receiver 3.
He's like you have 3 wide receiver targets and then a running back before you get to Schultz. So that's going to be the argument. It has not as much to do with Diggs for me specifically. It's about Schultz was like the 3rd or 4th target getter last year, and now he's going to be like 5, 6. That's just going to be the whole year for him. The good news is that tight end in general is such a dumpster fire that it literally doesn't matter. So that's fine. That's a fine one. For me, it's actually Brock Bowers. I'm just not. One game is not enough to sway me off this being a bad idea. Talk to me in a few weeks, and then maybe I'll reverse my decision on that. But yeah, I know he had a decent game. I'm not expecting that to repeat. Real quick, because I know Daniel's got one question, but I bet if I know Daniel, he doesn't have one question. He has several. I will tell you that it's more than 5.
Yeah.
Anything more than 5, I would argue that I don't know many people who could actually manage it appropriately. So,
like I said, early when we were all together, I was in way too many.
Yeah.
So I think your ideal is 5 or fewer is probably your best. I mean, you usually have one with friends, one that is like a high paying league, and like so one that is a dynasty, one that is redraft. I mean,
that's what I like to do. I like to spread it around. So like I like to play. I have like a long time league that I like to play in. That's like a PPR league, and that's with friends and family. It's been going since like 2005 because I'm old. The other one that I have is like a dynasty league. That's like a true old school My Fantasy League dynasty league. I have a crazy league that we play together, Jason, that has all the weird point craziness with the 2 QB league.
I need to set that lineup.
And then I play in like a guillotine league every year because I like it, but that goes away unless I win, so that's easier to manage. Like, and then I play in another league with work people that plays like half point PPR, and I clown those people all day long, and like it's like, but for me it's like I can really manage 4 to 5. Anything more than that, I start having problems, and I just can't do the waivers appropriately, and I can't deal with the trades, and it's just too much. Then again, I also run a fantasy football website in my spare time that chews up a significant amount of my free time. So I have like a full-time J job that most people would consider to be 2 full-time J jobs, and that has nothing to do with this. And then I have this. And so for me, what I can handle is no more than 5. And I prefer 4. So it's like that's kind of what I like. So I play in that many leagues, but I am an outlier. But in years gone by, I had like 7 or 8 leagues, and I joined every league that people wanted me to join. And I'm like, I can't do this. It's way too much. I'd be sitting there on Tuesday night trying to set waivers across and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I even doing? Like, it's like, no, I can't do that anymore. I have less fun with that as well. I learned it's not as entertaining for me.
Yeah, at one point I had over 60.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm not,
and had a spreadsheet that I was tracking all where I need to move, what players on what team, when people got injured.
I'm good. I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
Friarmouth.
Sure, that works.
Yeah. A little bit.
Only because we like you, Dan.
Yep, only because I know you won't get super upset at me. Yeah, like 6 is hard. Like, yeah, 8 is a lot. Daniel is way past 8. Like, yeah, 8 is too many. Like, it's just like learning to say no. Learning to say no is a skill that
I've gotten
I've
better.
developed over the years.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to say no. Like it's something I've learned as I get older is sometimes you just got to say no to people even if you don't want to, but you just got to know what you can handle and what you can't. And for me, I can't handle more than 5. It's the law of diminishing returns. I start having less fun, I start getting cranky, like I'm not paying attention, like it's not worth it. So I've learned like I just hard cap it at 5 and I pick the leagues that I really want to play in and that's what we do and uh that's just the way that it goes. Okay, hang on. We're doing this thing where
Yep.
it's like multiple questions that are layered in.
Yep. That's
Okay.
what I like to do.
Um
Swift Shaheed for the first one.
yeah. Swift Shaheed for the first one, I agree. I'm not happy about having to play Swift, but I'm willing to give that one more week.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play Zamir White, and I really need the Seahawks to
Figure it out.
go out and play better. And then we'll get back into that conversation. So if it's for this week, it's Swift to Shaheed.
Dobbins Mason.
Pick 2. Yes, as much as it makes me ill. Yes, I agree.
Well, you wait. The next one's really going to make you sick.
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any universe where no. See, it's funny because in the preseason, that second one
Would be neighbors.
they'd be neighbors Swift probably. Like it's like no, not right now. Need that to get worked out on both counts. So we'll play Mason and Dobbins because I know what I'm getting. And then the last one, just one. Probably Palmer.
Yeah, he
Let's
has a good
assume that
matchup.
Palmer's not getting suspended.
Okay. Yeah, then it's probably Palmer. But if he is, Singletary would be the next one up for me. I just
Actually,
saw
I
that
have
Palmer was
Singletary.
coming.
I have Singletary ahead of him anyway. So yeah, in fact, it's just Singletary for me. So there you go, Singletary. So Vampire is super fun.
I want to do one so bad.
Vampire is a very underrated format. If you have, for anyone not Daniel, I love Vampire. That is a very fun way. Guillotine and Vampire are both very fun, niche ways to play fantasy. So I'd highly recommend that if you've never done it, if you want to broaden your horizons. And I do not count best ball because best ball is just drafting. We can maybe do that. We can maybe start one for next year. That'd be interesting. Vampire is a lot of fun. ED. I don't think it'll cause ED. I think you might need to see a doctor, Daniel. I don't think ED is going to do it. The anxiety, mental instability, anxiety, stress, and gray hair. Yes. Yes. I also have lived that. I have absolutely lived that. Why do you think I'm wearing a hat? There's a reason. All right. All right. We did that. We did that. We did that. Here we are. We're on this one. All right. Probably.
I think it's Ford. Yeah.
I don't think you can screw up the Aaron Jones or Ford thing. Pick one of the two. I've got them right next to each other in my rankings to the point where it's like you're.
Well, I wasn't sure if Singletary was ahead of him. That was the only
No.
reason.
I'm not playing Singletary off that list. It's
Okay.
either Jones or Ford. I have Jones like a whopping like 2 spots ahead. It's really not. Yeah, legitimately 2 spots in my flex rankings. So I'm including. That's not even my running back. That's flex rankings. So I would give it to Aaron Jones by literally this much. So if you wanted to play Jerome Ford because you're scared of the Niners, okay. I literally don't think you can screw that up. I think it's either one of those two is fine. Reed or Pickens?
Reed.
Yeah. I can't spell.
Reed.
Nope. Nope. Can't do that either.
Jaden. Jayden.
Yeah, I'm playing because it's half point, it's Reed for the upside. We covered this before you got here, Daniel. I'm not afraid. Because I know it's Malik and he looks like garbage.
Because he is.
He is. But it doesn't matter because all it takes is one end around. It's one end around and that's it. That's your whole day. So whereas Pickens is like
Getting Sertan.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. Is that we just talked about that too. Pickens is going to have Sertan draped all over him because what's their other target? No one is the answer.
Freiermuth.
Yeah, right. Freiermuth over the middle. So, yeah, no, I'm not. If those are my choices, then I'm going to play Reed, and I'm not afraid of it being Malik as it relates to Reed. As it relates to other things, I am a little more concerned, like Watson, who isn't the fastest thing ever, like Reed is.
Still surprised.
Okay.
Oh, the last one.
Yeah.
Really comes down to Palmer or Kirk, right?
Yep. It's Palmer or Kirk.
I have Palmer because I like the matchup a little more.
I'm playing Kirk.
Okay.
So there you go. I'm playing Kirk. This is me telling him to see a doctor. It would be amazing. It would be amazing if Malik gets traded and then beats the Mayo Coffee Man. It would be unbelievably hilarious. Yeah, I'm literally like I didn't want to say anything about it because I just want it to happen. I hate that the Packers would win a football game because of it too. I'm right there with you. But the idea that they would trade him and then he would beat Will Levis tickles me in such a way that if Loretta tickled me in that way, I'd be like, that's nice. Like just the amount of Schadenfreude that would like I would be so excited about the Schadenfreude. Like, oh my god, like it would be so good. Oh god, put it in my veins. All right. Was that it, Daniel? Did we get him? I think we got him. Oh no, no. Yep, there was only 2.
Sweet.
Are we done? Are we done?
I guess.
I don't see any more. Everybody's got their questions answered.
Woohoo! We did it.
Daniel's blocked. Blocking Daniel. All right, we're done. All right, we are done. Gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure, and it's been an honor and a privilege. Come back tomorrow. I am a free elf. That's the other reason I'm wearing a hat, so you can't see. So I am gonna go eat dinner, and I am excited about it. So here's what's gonna happen, gentlemen. It's been an honor and a privilege serving with you as always. Tomorrow, tune in for Jason. answering your Thursday night questions. So we wanted to lay out and do this show on Wednesdays, as I mentioned at the top, so that Jason has a full runway to answer questions, and then everybody can just go enjoy Thursday night football to the extent that that's possible.
On Peacock.
Yeah, on Peacock.
Throwing it out there, letting people know.
So there you go. But that's what we're gonna do. So enjoy that to the extent that it's possible. Enjoy your Thursday night football. Jason will be here to take your questions, so you'll get a full. How long are you doing, Jason? Hour? 30 minutes?
I think it's 30 or 45.
30 to 45. Enjoy, Jason. 30 to 45 minutes. Get your lineup questions in for Thursday, and then as always, Mason and Vishal get you locked in on Friday. Enjoy that. They do a great job. I know they look. I know Mason's already in the black. I had the same question. I thought they were doing it.
I think it goes back after this week.
Okay.
Like 85% sure.
Yeah, because I'm looking this up now before we leave.
Oh no, it's on Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime. Get out of here, Jason.
It was a Thursday, Friday. That's what had me.
Yeah, it was Friday game anyway.
Yeah,
it's not Peacock. It's not Peacock.
Now it's back to Prime. Neil's over here putting in nonsense.
There. That's where we're going back to. So enjoy Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. And then tune in for Jason. And I agree. This is like cable with extra steps. It's not a value anymore. Yeah, Jason. Yeah, Jason, get your NPC shares out of here.
Whoa. I made sure to let people know if they got it before Thursday, it was $4.99 instead of the $11.99 that they changed it to. You're welcome.
Okay.
I saved you $7 for at least a month.
Yeah. So you could rake in the dividend. I see how it is.
If I had a code, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Promo code at FF Nerd. Like, yeah. Got
that
it.
Would be awesome.
Got it. I see how it's going. Over here. We're not good enough anymore. Jason's got to go.
If I had that kind of deal, I'd be all over it. But
yeah, that's what Jason wouldn't be talking to me.
I'd be
hanging out with Tony Romo. But yeah, tune in for Jason tomorrow. Tune in for the game on Prime Video. And then enjoy that. Mason and Vishal will be on Friday to get you locked in. I know Mason's already in the black. I saw he already cashed week 1. So tune in for that because Mason's he's 1 week in and he's already on a heater. Blame Jason for cursing George Kittle. He did that in our Discord.
So close.
He totally cursed him. Jason is to blame. It's as Steve pointed out, it's the curse of the nerd. He cursed you. All you Kittle managers. It's on Jason. It's Jason did it. He blame him. I was there. I saw the interaction. I saw what happened. Tune in for that
on Thursday.
Yep.
And did it with
and then
Kittle.
Jason and I will be on. I'm the one who runs the chat. So Jason will be on, and I will be on Sunday for the final countdown to get your last minute questions in. I really could do without them making T. Higgins inactive 3 minutes before we have to go live. That would be great if we could not do that again.
As well as saying Chase being on a snap count.
Yep, that'd be great. If we could not do that again, I'd be a big fan. If they could not do that again, I'd be a big fan of that because my God, that was so irritating. Because I was like turning my computer on and getting ready to sit down with my coffee, and I'm like, oh, so that's what we're gonna do today? We're gonna fight? We're gonna have an argument?
Bunch of hateful people out there.
Oh, our audience was actually pretty chill.
Yeah,
but I went on Twitter and made the mistake of like going on Twitter. Yo, whoo, jeez, I got some pretty thick skin, but yeah, that too. At least I didn't have to do a show, Straight Cash. I didn't have to do a show 3 minutes after they announced it. That was what I was more annoyed by. Was like they announced it, and I'm like, well, I guess we have to go live. And it's like, and then they announced the pitch count, and I'm like, all right, well, at least that's real advice. Thank God I had it on, and was watching it in the other room, and saw the local beat lady talking about it, cause yeah, like at least we had some real info. The Mason thing was like, nah, there you go. Have fun. So anyway, gentlemen, we will see you all tomorrow. And until then, keep up the nonsense.